Welcome back to IGN's Livewire. This time around, we've got Project Origin, Monolith's follow-up to their frightening first-person shooter, F.E.A.R. Take it away, Jeremy. It's all you.
I'm not allowed to leave.
You're not.
Hey.
I just can't resist seeing you.
Well, thanks.
Thanks.
So Project Origin is the follow-up to F.E.A.R.
Yes.
A lot of people want to know after the end of F.E.A.R. how Project Origin picks up from that. What exactly is the storyline, and where does it pick up, and where are we?
Well, we actually start the game of Project Origin about 20 minutes before the end of the first game. So in the first game, if you remember, if you've played, spoiler alert if you haven't, you as the Project Origin point, or the F.E.A.R. point man, are headed towards the vault you're uncovering all of these horrible things that Armacam's been doing. You got the psychic little girl who is destroying things with her mind, that kind of thing. You're on your way to this vault and this kind of release of Alma upon the world, destruction of the facility that ends up decimating half the city as the big ending of F.E.A.R. Meanwhile, while you're finding all of this stuff out, they have sent another team in, headed by Michael Beckett, that's the character you play. You're going to pick up Genevieve Aristide at her high-rise, posh penthouse apartment, because she's the one that's the president of Armacam Technology. She's the one that actually went and opened the vault and awakened Alma and started all this stuff going on in the first place. And when they want to find out what they're up against, what's going on, because it's just craziness. So you're sent to go remand her to protective custody. Armacam has sent guys in as well, mercenaries, to go take her out a different way. They want to separate any sort of attachment between Armacam and what's going on in the city. So you're fighting these mercenaries, you've run into this, and in the middle of all of that chaos, the explosion that happens at the end of the first game happens in Project Origin. Throws everything into a craziness. You wake up in a hospital, need to reconnect with your team and figure out what's going on and see what you can do to stop it.
And this is the level, I had a chance to play this earlier, and this is the level that kind of picks up after that explosion, right?
No, this is actually quite far into the game. This is the beginning of the third act. You're really racing through the decimated city, trying to get into a destination that you think holds the means by which to stop Alma once and for all.
And this is a special mech that you can hop into about halfway through the stage.
On the first game, players loved the idea of the powered armor that they fought, and they wanted to be able to drive that powered armor in the game. We weren't really satisfied in just doing that, so we created sort of this big brother version of the powered armor. You've got dual rocket pods, shoulder-mounted rocket pods. You've got dual chain guns, miniguns on the arms of the thing, and you really get to just rip the environment up and really deal out some damage.
And the game is obviously very bloody, but in terms of just what seems to me more things to kill, what are some of the other changes that you've made from the first game in terms of the gameplay and how things work?
Well, one of the things that we really focused on, it was really one of the main guiding principles when we started working on the game, was that of variety. We wanted to make sure that you visited a lot of different locations, we're fighting a lot of different enemies, that you were always doing something new, always seeing something new, always experiencing something new. It was something that we kind of looked at as a failure, if you will, on the first game. You spent a lot of time in office buildings, you spent a lot of time in really gray environments. We've had a couple of people comment when we show them the demo, you guys have added color to the game, that's really cool. We're like, yeah, we did. We really wanted to push that idea of variety, always going to new places, seeing new things.
And one thing that really stuck out for me when I was playing it earlier was the AI here seems to be really advanced. They were doing some crazy things. They were flanking me, they seemed to be working in tandem, and they didn't just hold back whenever I tried to run away. They came after me. Can you talk a little bit about how the AI works and some of the improvements you've made there?
Well, the AI is an entirely reactive system. We have a lot of opportunities in the environment for them to take advantage of combatively, and they entirely react to whatever choices the player makes. So every time you play this, if you play it differently, they will react to that dynamically, and they will give the same great cinematic experience and over-the-top combat sequences, but it's entirely dynamic, and they'll play it out every time differently depending on the choices that the player makes.
What about the gameplay experience itself? How many levels are you looking at? Is it going to be added onto via downloadable content? What sort of long-term replay do we have?
We haven't really discussed yet downloadable content, specifically what we wanted to do with it. We've talked about it as an idea that we're excited about and would love to participate in, but we haven't really made specific plans yet. And as far as game length goes, it's kind of hard to gauge. The game, because of the nature of the game, the way the AI works and everything, the way it reacts, depending upon how the player plays it, they'll have an entirely different experience. So if you're a creeper player where you're, going corner to corner and, crouching half the time and
It'll
really
take
taking
you
your
50
time.
hours?
Yeah, you got an RPG on your hands, But if you're the guy who, drinks a lot of tequila, he's bulletproof and he's running into the middle of the room and trying to, just blow everything up, it's going to be a greatly different experience. But I would say the average player, we're looking at a meaty game. It's, 10, 12, whatever, plus hours.
So in terms of in addition to the mech, what other types of weapons and special attacks can we expect to see? Do we have the ability to alter time again? I mean, tell us a little bit about how
the slow-mo was
works.
definitely a key element to the game. You're going to have that again this time. Chaos of combat, sort of that slow motion ballet of destruction. That's just key to the franchise. So you still have that. The idea of new things that you can do in the environment. One of the things that people really loved in the first game was when the AI would like flip tables for cover and topple things over and slide things out into the room for creating cover. We've now given that ability to the player. So the player now has the ability to really modify the environment that they're playing in to fit their game style, which is pretty cool.
And what about direct ties to the last game? Obviously, we know that it's tied together because of the ending of the first game here, but what about in terms of specific characters or events, or is there any other ties other than the ending leading into the beginning that puts the two games together?
It's actually sort of a tangent story. A lot of the characters that were developed for the first game, they kind of they end, with the first story, and this is sort of an overlap beginning-ending situation that we have that takes off in a new direction. Alma is really the element that ties everything together because she's kind of at the heart of what's going on and what you're up against. But other than that, it's actually a very few characters that we're bringing over from the first game into the new one because it's a completely different kind of story approach.
Well, we've got 1 minute, so really quick before we wrap, is there anything that you want to talk about that maybe we haven't seen or that you haven't mentioned that will give our readers an added boost? That's the polite way of asking for an exclusive.
Well, I could talk about maybe the nature of Alma a little bit. I mean, she's changed for this game. We had sort of the aspect of Alma in the first game. You were dealing with the child entity, sort of that part of the psyche of the Alma entity. And in this game, she's been released onto the world, and you're more dealing with the woman. She has different needs. She has different desires. Her interactions with you are going to be more intimate, more personal. She's going to touch you more. And hopefully that's going to be disturbing in all new ways.
Sounds
awesome.
like it. Yeah.
Sounds sexy, actually.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, guys. Coming up in a few minutes is going to be Lego Batman. We're just going to do a quick switch out here, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.